Well, hello, all good people of the world. This is Paul Whittakin coming to you with the Universal Law of Numbers. And this episode is for adults only because what we're going to be speaking about is not really appropriate for children's ears. But to start off, of course, the numbers are for children, and anybody can understand these numbers. I believe I could have understood this pretty well even as early as first grade. And the universal law of numbers is very much for people who didn't understand math from the very beginning, because this is something that everybody can understand. It is the fundamental law of mathematics. I call it the periodic table of mathematics. It is the fundamental law of nature, and it gives us wisdom, knowledge, and truth. And that's what the universe is all about. For instance, if I'm going over some of these numbers and I'm making a mistake, well, it's me, the mortal human, making the mistake, and it's certainly not the universe. Now, these numbers 1 through 9, they're a gift from the universe. They come from the universe, and they're the universal language that everyone in the world can understand, and they are not a design of humans. They're just something that humans have discovered, and the more we examine these numbers, the more we understand how our universe works, how numbers work, how science works, and how nature works, but especially how life works. So this is always a lesson in life, and no matter what I'm going over with these universal law of numbers, it's always the same thing. It's basically looking at the truth, which is often right in front of our faces, yet we are unable to uncover it because we are constantly being bombarded with dishonest and evil lies by the dishonest and evil people who have control over our lives. So I always suggest that people stop believing these people, this agenda. You know, somebody might ask me, well, why don't we learn about this in school? And I tell them, we do learn about it in school. It's just presented in another way. And the reason that is because these formal institutions of education, they have an agenda. Good people, educators and students alike. But, there's a design curriculum, and it's all about putting forth an agenda so that these people who are in control will have control over us. They seek out what they call good students, individuals who will just regurgitate what they're told and pass on that information, whether it's, the professors or the teachers at every level of schooling. All they're doing is regurgitating a curriculum, and they're looking for people who will help them to put forth that agenda. And many times they may not even be aware of it. When it comes to history or archaeology or even current events in the news, it's always some distorted, bunch of fabricated lies, and newscasters are reading scripts, and they're basically conditioned to follow a certain mindset and narrative, but unfortunately it's not based on what they tell us at all. If they're telling us that we're bombing countries like Syria or Libya or Yemen or Somalia for humanitarian purposes, I can reassure you that that's quite not the case. And, who are the people in control? Well, we have these people in Washington, D.C., we have people in Riyadh, we have people in Jerusalem, and all they're looking for are the cattle to follow the agenda. So what I'm speaking here is coming directly from the universe. It's the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. So let's go and see if we can find some of the truth in this thing today. So we have these codes, and I mentioned them, and they are the numbers 2, 5, and 8, the numbers 1, 4, and 7, the numbers 3, 6, and 9, 2, 5, and 8, and 7, 1, 4, combined to 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. We have 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8, and we'll just quickly look and see if we can see them in the code. So we have 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. We have 1, 4, 7, and 7, 4, 1, for instance. We have 5, 2, and 8. We have 2, 5, and 8. We have 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8, and that's the 369 code. And the 369 code is a manifestation of the number 9. So what we're always looking at is what goes on between the numbers 1 through 9, and 9 is obviously it's the number that dictates the system. Okay, so if we just take the numbers 1 through 9, for instance, and we write them down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we write them going in the other direction. If you start with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, what we notice is that 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, 9 times 3 is 27, 9 times 4 is 36, etc., etc. And we also notice that all of these numbers add up to 9. 1 plus 8 is 9, 2 plus 7 is 9, 3 plus 6 is 9, etc. So this is how we get this revolution. It's a revolution because it's constantly revolving. It's revolving in all directions. It's revolving going this way. 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1, or 10 times 1 is 10, times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000, times 10 is 10,000. But this thing keeps on revolving and revolving and revolving. It keeps on revolving and revolving and revolving. It revolves in this direction. It revolves in this direction. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how it revolves in this direction as well. So we're going to get to that. But the first thing we just want to do is look, and I'm just filling in numbers where they were located in this one right here that we just looked at, and we'll see if we can recognize some of the codes. And we know that 1 and 2 is 3, 4 and 5 is 9, and 7 and 8 is 6. And that's a code. And we know that 1 plus 0 is 1, 3 plus 4 is 7, 6 plus 7 is 13, which is a 4, and that's the 147 code. And we know that 8 and 6 is 15, 1 and 5 is a 6, 5 and 4 is 9, 2 and 1 is a 3, and we get the 693, and that's the 369 code. And we see that 181818 is present as well. And we also see that 8 plus 0 is 8, 6 plus 5 is 11, 1 and 1 is 2, and 3 plus 2 is 5. And we can look at it again, and we see that we have the code 258 and 147, don't we? Well, we really do. And that's not a coincidence, folks. It's the universe just showing us the truth, and it's very easy to recognize. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of these different ways of looking at the universal law of numbers, and I'm just filling in numbers from the original, and we look at them individually. In this case, for instance, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 4 is 8, 4 times 7 is 28, 2 and 8 is a 1, 5 times 7 is 35, 3 and 5 is an 8, 7 times 4 is 28, 2 and 8 is 1, and 8 times 1 is 8. And we see that 1 times 8 equals 1 times 8 equals 1 times 8. 1 plus 4 is 5, 7 plus 7 is 14, 1 and 4 is a 5, 4 plus 1 is 5, for instance. I don't have to tell you every single thing, or even sometimes I don't even recognize every single thing I'm looking at. But you will uncover many different things, and I just point out some of the very basic things. So we see the 147 and the 741. So we know that 1 times 4 times 7 will equal 7 times 4 times 1. And 1 times 7 times 4 will equal 4 times 7 times 1. Or 1 times 1 times 1 will equal 1 times 1 times 1. And that's symmetry. We also know that 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 2 is 8, 7 times 4 is 1, 7 times 5 is 8, 4 times 7 is 1, and 1 times 8 is 8. And I just showed you a minute ago how we come across that. Now, this is just basically the numbers performing the revolution. And if we look at it like this, 1 times 1 is 1, 7 times 2 is 14 is 5, 4 times 4 is 16, 1 and 6 is a 7, 4 times 5 is 20, that's a 2, 7 times 7 is 49, that's a 4, and 1 times 8 is 8. And that's all very simple and straightforward to understand. It shows what's going on inside of the machine as it's revolving, so to speak. What do we have here? Well, we know that 1 times 1 is 1, or 1 times 1 is 1. We know that 7 times 5 is 8. We know that 4 times 7 is 1, 2 times 4 is 8, 4 times 7 is 1, and 8 times 1 is 8. And 1 times 8 is equal to 1 times 8 is equal to 1 times 8. Or 1 times 8 is 8, times 8 is 64, times 8 is 512, and 5 plus 1 and 2 is 8. And that's how we get the 818. What if we look at it like this? We know that 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 8 is 9, 1 plus 5 is 6, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So we're going to get 396, 999, 693, and 396. And that's how it's revolving. And we know that 3 times 9 is 27, and times 6, well, that would have to come out to a 9. What is 27 times 6? 20 times 6 is 120, and 7 times 6 is 42. 42 and 120 is 162, and 1 and 6 and 2 is a 9. We know that 18 times 18 times 18 will have to be a 9. We know that 6 times 9 times 3 will have to be a 9. We know that 3 times 9 times 6 will have to be a 9. And if we add them, 1 plus 2 is 3, 4 plus 5 is 9, 7 plus 8 is 15. Let's do that. 3 and 15 is 18, plus 9 is 27. Well, that's going to be a 9 too. And we can look at it like this. And what do we have? We have 1 times 4 is 4, times 8 is 32, that's a 5. So 7 times 7 times 8 will have to be a 5 too. And 4 times 1 times 8 times 1 will have to be a 5 too. As will 1 times 5 times 1 times 1, or 7 times 2 times 1 times 1, or 4 times 1 times 8 times 1. Any way you look at it, it's going to be a 5. And it's going to behave exactly as such, because it is a 5. What do we see here? We see that 1 times 1 is the same as 4 times 7. It's a 1. 1 times 8 is the same as 8 times 1, which is an 8. 1 times 1 is the same as 7 times 4, which is a 1. 1 times 8 is the same as 5 times 7, because 5 times 7 is 35, and 3 and 5 is an 8. 1 times 1 is a 1. 1 times 8 is the same as 2 times 4, 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8. That's the code. Okay. Here we have the 487512 going down in its appropriate place, and we know that 4 times 7 is the same as 7 times 4, 8 times 1 is the same as 8 times 1, 7 times 4 is the same as 4 times 7, 5 times 7 is the same as 2 times 4, 1 times 1 is the same as 1 times 1, and 2 times 4 is the same as 5 times 7, because it's 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8. And we know that 1 times 4 is the same as 7 times 7 is the same as 4 times 1. Because 1 times 4 is 4, 4 times 4 times 1 is 4, and 7 times 7 is 49, and that reduces to a 4. So we get 1 times 4 is equal to 4, 1 times 8 is equal to 8, 1 times 7 is equal to 7, 1 times 5 is equal to 5, 1 times 1 is equal to 1, 1 times 2 is equal to 2, as the other ones. And we get 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. And that's a code. And now we'll look at it a little bit differently. And we see that 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 5 is the same as 7 times 2 is the same as 4 times 8. 1 times 2 is the same as 4 times 5 is the same as 7 times 8. Because 7 times 8 is 56. Well, okay. So 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 5 is 20, 7 times 8 is 56, and 5 and 6 is 11, and 1 is 2. But I don't even know what I was doing here. 1 times 8 times 1 is 8. 1 times 5 times 7 is 8. 1 times 2 times 4 is 8. Okay. 8 times 1 times 8 is 1. 2 times 4 times 8 is 64 is 1. And 5 times 7 times 8 will also be 1. And we see 8, 1, 8, 1, 8, 1. Or 1, 8, 1, 8, 1, 8. Okay, now we're going to basically examine something that goes on inside of the code. Okay, we know, well, here's the code. 487512 784 215 181 818. So we know that 487 plus 512 equals 999. We also know that 784 plus 215 equals 999. We know that 181 plus 818 equals 999. And we know that 9 times 9 equals 81, and 9 times 9 times 9 equals 729. Now, doesn't it? And I kind of show that here in a little different way. Basically, 4 times 8 times 7 times 5 times 1 times 2 is 2240. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 7 times 1 times 4 times 7 times 1 times 4 is 784. 7 times 8 times 4 times 2 times 1 times 5 is equal to 2,240 as well. As 4 1 times 1 times 7 times 4 times 1 times 7 is equal to 784 as well. And down here we have 1, 2240, 2 and 2 is 4, and 4 is 8. 784, 7 and 8 is 15, and 4 is 19, and that's a 1. So 2240 is an 8, 784 is a 1, and we have 181818. Because 181818 is 512. Because it's 1 times 8 is 8, times 1 is 8, times 8 is 64, times 1 is 64, times 8 is 512. And we know that 487 is equal to 999. Well, 487 and 512 is 999. 181 plus 808 is 999. We know that 784 and 215 is 999, etc., etc. So it's basically giving us the perfect symmetry with this 999. So what do we have here? Well, what we have is we have 1 times 2 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 5. What does that equal? 1 times 2 is 2, times 1 is 2, times 1 is 2, times 1 is 2, times 5 is 10. So that's a 1. 4 times 5 is 20, times 1 is 20, times 1 is 20, times 7 is 140, times 2 is 280. 2 plus 8 is 1. And we have 1 here, so we have 181818. Because 1 times 7 times 1 times 8 times 1 times 4 will be an 8. And 4 times 4 times 1 times 8 times 7 will be an 8. And 7 times 1 times 1 times 8 times 4 times 1 will be an 8. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the universal law of numbers. And the universe is multidimensional. It obviously has this dimension, the flat dimension, the single dimension, but it's followed by these 6 dimensions that revolve over and over and over. Okay, so it doesn't make any difference if we turn it on its side. It doesn't make any difference if we turn it upside down. It will still be the same exact thing, and it will follow all of the codes just like I will show you just right now. Here's another one though. We can look at that one. Okay, here we're adding 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4, that's 7, plus 8 is 15, plus 7 is 22. Okay, let me see. What was I doing here? We know that 1 plus 5 is 6, and 7 plus 2 is 9, and 4 plus 8 is 3. Oh, 1 plus 4 is equal to 7 plus 7 is also equal to 4 plus 1. 1 plus 8 is equal to 1 plus 8 is equal to 1 plus 8. And 1 plus 7 is equal to 4 plus 4 is equal to 7 plus 1. And 1 times 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 1. But 1 plus 2 is 3, 4 plus 5 is 9, and 7 plus 8 is 6. So basically it's showing you how we're getting the codes, because here we have 147 and 741. Here we have 181 and 818, 174, 471. But here we get the 369 code, and it's coming inside of the matrix with the 147 code and the 181 code. Now we'll just kind of flip over our universal law of numbers and see what happens here. We know that 4 times 5 is the same as 8 times 7 times 1. Because 4 times 5 is 20, and 8 times 7 is 56, times 1 is 56, and 5 and 6 is 11, and 1 plus 1 is 2. We know that 9s always give us 9s. We know that 7 times 7 is the same as 1 times 4. We know that 7 times 2 is the same as 8 times 4, because 7 times 2 is 14, and 1 and 4 is a 5, and 8 times 4 is 32, and 3 and 2 is a 5. 4 times 4 is the same as 1 times 7 times 1. 1 times 8 is the same as 8 times 1 times 1, etc. And if we do it like this, we can see some things going on for sure. 4 times 5 times 1 is 2, as 8 times 7 is 2. 7 times 7 times 1 is 4, 49, as is 1 times 4 times 1 times 4 is 4. 7 times 2 times 1 is 8 times 4, both equaling 5. 4 times 4 times 1 is 16, and 1 times 7 is 7. 16 is 1 and 6 is a 7. 181, 818. 1 times 1 is the same as 8 times 1. Well, 1 times 1 times 8 is the same as 8 times 1. So it's just the perfect symmetry that goes as it follows through its revolution. And we see that 4 times 7 is 28, which is a 1. So 8 times 5 is 40 times 2. Well, what do we have? 8 times 5 is, 8 times 5 is 40 times 2 is 80. That's that one. So 4 times 7, 4 times 7 is 28 is 1. But 2 times 5 is 10 times 8 is 8. 7 times 4 is 28. It's the same as 1 times 1. I must be confused here. I don't even know what I was doing. 4 times 4 plus 7 is 11 and 7. No, that's not what I was doing. I know that 4 times 7 is 1, 7 times 4 is 1, 7 times 4 is 1, 4 times 7 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. That I know. Okay. I know that 8 times 5 is 4. I know that 1 times 7 is 7. I know that 8 times 2 is 7. I know that 1 times 4 is 4. And I know that 8 times 8 is 64, and 6 and 4 is a 1. Maybe I was thinking that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look and see how the universal law of numbers makes a full revolution. And I'll put the universal law of numbers back up here for us to look at briefly. And what I'm going to tell you is that basically I'm going to show you how it's making this revolution. So if we turn the thing upside down, okay? So the bottom line, this is the bottom line in the universal law of numbers, 1, 2, 9, 4, 5, 9, 7, 8, 9. And we'll just look at that. It's down there on the bottom, 1, 2, 9, 4, 5, 9, 7, 8, 9. Now let's do this. 1 times 1 is 1, times 1 is obviously 1s, 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16, 1 and 6 is a 7. 2 times 7 is 14, 1 and 4 is a 5. 2 times 5 is 10, 1 and 0 is a 1. And 2 times 1 is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. So that's a full revolution. So that's how we see the revolution going on there. Now if we wanted to get back into its original form, we just take it upside down, starting, this is the bottom line, next to the bottom line, next to the bottom line, next to the bottom line, next, and now we're at the top, 149779419. We can look at that. 149779419. And if we multiply 159729489, which is this line right here, and we multiply it by the universal law of numbers code upside down, we're going to get 5 times 2 is 1, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 5 is 25, 2 and 5 is a 7, 5 times 7 is 35, 3 and 5 is an 8, 5 times 8 is 40, 4 and 0 is 1, and 5 times 4 is 20, and 2 and 0 is 1. So we just did a full revolution now, didn't we? Because it doesn't make any difference if she's upside down or if she's right side up or if she's on her side, because you cannot turn the universal law of numbers upside down or on its side, because it's perfect from any angle. And the universe, as I've stated before, can certainly turn us upside down or turn us on our side, and we won't even have any idea which way is up and which way is down, or which way is backwards or which way is forwards, but we cannot do that to her. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to just look at these numbers, and we're going to examine what happens when we go from here backwards, okay, in that direction. And basically what we're doing is we're following the law of doubling, because, or halving, doubling, it's the same thing because it goes perfectly in both directions. You can see this is doubling. 2 doubled is 4, double is 8, double is 16, 1 and 6 is 7, double is 32, 3 and 2 is 5, double is 64, 6 and 4 is 1, doubled is 64, 128, 1 and 2 is 3, and 8 is 11, 1 plus 1 is 2. So now we're halving. We're going to go in the opposite direction. And what we see is half of 1 is 0.5, half of that is 0.25, half of that is 0.125, half of that is 0.0625, half of that is 0.03125, and half of that is 0.15625. And if we reduce those numbers, we get 248751, don't we? The same thing happens with the 2. We get 248751. With the 3s and the 6s and the 9s, that's how we get the 369 code, because we get 639, 369, 639, 369, 639, 369. So the 3, 6, and 9 numbers give us the 369 code like that, whereas the 248751 numbers give us the 248751. Because if we half 4, we get 2, half of that we get 1, half 1 we get 0.5, half 1 we get 0.25, half that we get 0.125, and 1 and 2 is 3, and 5 is 8, and half of that we get 0.0625, and 6 and 2 and 8. 6 plus 2 equals 8, plus 5 equals 13, and 1 and 3 is a 4. But we're getting many other things that are going on here as well. And I'm going to kind of try and point that out to you. Now what we'll do is we'll take it to the next line in the Universal Law of Numbers code. 149779419. And that's why I have it there in the blue. And we're just going to have those numbers and we're going to see what happens. Well, what you're seeing is you're seeing the machine as it's revolving. Because here we have 248751, but now it's 248751. And now it's 248751. And now it's 248751, etc. Okay, so we're going to go to the 149, which is the top line, and we're going to half it like that. And we're going to start to see things. We're going to start to see the codes, because 1 plus 4 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 plus 1 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, 1 and 3 is a 4, 4 plus 7 is 11, 1 and 1 is 2, and 2 plus 8 is 16. Well, it isn't. 2 plus 8 is 10, and 1 and 0 is 1, 248751. And here you can see that it's made the revolution, because if we have 2, it's 1. If we have 8, it's 4. If we have 9, it's 4.45 or 4.5. 4 and 5 is a 9. If we have 5, we get 2.5. 2 and 5 is 7. Same thing here. 9 gives us a 9. Half 8 is 4. Half 2 is 1. And 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, and 4 plus 5 equals 9. So we get the 149779 all over again. It's making the revolution. Let's take it to the next one. Now we're at this line, 189. Oops, excuse me. All right, I was doing pretty good today. Not perfect, but whatever. 189, 189, 189. Well, what happens if we look at that one? Well, we know that half of 1 is 0.5 and half of 0.5 is 0.25, etc. And we get the 248751. And 8, the same thing. Half of 8 is 4, half of that is 2, half of that is 1, half of that is 0.5, half of that is 2.5, and we get 248751. So we're coming up with the 248751s, but we're also coming up with the 9s, because 2 and 7 is 9, 2 and 7 is 9, 2 and 7 is 9, 1 and 8 is 9, 5 and 4 is 9, 7 and 2 is 9, 8 and 1 is 9, and 4 and 5 is 9. And there are different things you can do with this and different ways you can look at it. But you're always going to get perfect symmetry. So now we're going to go down to the next line in the code, which is 179449719. And we're going to notice that 4 and 2 is 6, 1 and 5 is 6, 7 and 8 is 15, where 1 and 5 is a 6. So it's going to give us 6s. 1 and 5 is 6, 7 and 8 is 6, 4 and 2 is 6, 7 and 8 is 6, 4 and 2 is 6, 1 and 5 is 6, etc. 1 and 5 is 6, 7 and 8 is 6, 4 and 2 is 6. So we get 669, 669, 669. And that's one of the codes too.